The marine environment is an essential component of the global life support system. The oceans, seas, bays, estuaries, and other major water bodies, including their surface interface and interaction with the atmosphere and with the land seaward of the mean high water mark. Oceans cover 70% of the Earth's surface and provide us with food, oxygen, and jobs. But they are probably the least understood, most biologically diverse, and most undervalued of all ecosystems. The majority of pollutants that make their way into the ocean come from human activities along the coastlines and far inland. One of the biggest sources of pollution is non-point source pollution, which occurs as a result of runoff. Non-point source pollution can come from any sources, like septic tanks, vehicles, farms, livestock, ranches, and timber harvest areas. Pollution that comes from a single source, like an oil or chemical spill, is known as point source pollution. Point source pollution events often have large impacts, but fortunately, they occur less often. Discharge from faulty or damaged factories or water treatment systems is also considered point source pollution. Pollution does not only affect marine life and their environment, it also affects mankind. If humans are exposed to these toxic chemicals for long periods of time, then this can result in dangerous health problems, which include hormonal issues, reproductive issues, and damage to our nervous systems and kidneys. The International Convention of the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or what we call MARPOL, is the main international convention covering prevention of pollution of the marine environment by ships from operational or accidental causes. The MARPOL Convention was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO. The MARPOL aims to minimize the pollution of the seas, including dumping, oil, and exhaust pollution. Its stated object is to preserve the marine environment through the complete elimination of pollution by oil and other harmful substances, and the minimization of accidental discharge of such substances. The International Convention for the Prevention of the Pollution from Ships, or MARPOL's objectives is to minimize pollution of the oceans and seas, including dumping, oil, and air pollution. The affirmed objective of MARPOL Annex 1, which entered into force on 2nd October 1983, is to protect the marine environment through the complete elimination of pollution by oil and other damaging elements, and to lessen the chances of accidental discharge of any such elements. The main principle of Annex 2 is to dilute cargo residues in seawater to prescribed limits depending on their pollution hazard, and facilitate the distribution of discharges by utilizing the wake of the ship. The MARPOL Annex 3 contains requirements for safe handling of packaged substances that represent a serious risk to the environment, as well as guidelines for identification of harmful substances. Annex 4 in MARPOL contains a set of regulations regarding the discharge of sewage into the sea from ships, including regulations regarding the ship's equipment and systems for their control of sewage discharge, the provision of the port's reception facilities for sewage, and requirements for survey and certification. The Annex 5 prohibits the discharge of all garbage into the sea except as provided otherwise. For example, Annex 5 totally prohibits of the disposal of plastics anywhere into the sea, and severely restricts discharges of other garbage from ships into coastal waters and special areas. The Annex 6 in MARPOL limits the main air pollutants contained in ships' exhaust gas, including sulfur oxides and nitrous oxides, and prohibits deliberate emissions of ozone-depleting substances.